Yes, I 100%. It takes all different kinds, right?
Yeah.
Introverts, extroverts, the mix, right? You can
Yeah.
be different things in different settings, even, right? I
Yes.
would say though, for those introverts out there, um, again, I think it goes back to that forget the confidence piece, that pushing through the fear, pushing through the maybe I can't do it, and raise your hand. Because
Hmm.
yes, introverts can make really great CEOs, but they're never going to get there if they don't take on the task, they don't take on that project, they don't volunteer for the opportunity. You,
Yes.
it's very rare to be able to kind of sit back and have someone just discover you,
Yes,
right? Like
exactly. Yes. That's a
people,
great point.
they're just really busy. It's like a
Yes.
project comes up, you raise your hand and do it. And that's, I mean, for me, that's how I've always gotten ahead and gotten ahead as quickly as I have, because I just I did the things.
Welcome to Breaking Ground, Women in AEC Leadership podcast. This is the show that lifts the voices, journeys, and insights of women shaping the future of architecture, engineering, and construction, and it's brought to you by Unanet. If you're in the architecture, engineering, or construction space, you know how critical it is to keep your projects on time, your teams aligned, your pipeline growing, and your finances in check. And that's where Unanet comes in with project-based ERP solutions, CRM solutions, and an AI growth suite built specifically for AEC firms. I'm your host, Rhianna Dempsey, and with me is my co-host, Sarah Brown. In each episode, we will connect with professionals across the AEC industry to share real stories and hard-earned wisdom. At our core, we believe that a strong, diverse workforce drives innovation and success, and that women are essential to building the future of AEC. This is more than a conversation. It is a community focused on growth and lasting impact. And let's get started. All right. So let's just jump right in here and welcome our guest today, Julia Harrod. Julia is a business leader and civil engineer who serves as president and CEO of MWM DesignGroup in Austin, Texas, one of my favorite cities, I will say. And she earned a Bachelor of Architectural Design from Massachusetts Institute of Technology and a Master's in Architectural Engineering from the University of Texas at Austin. And she's also the president of the National Society of Professional Engineers. And we are beyond honored to have her with us today. So, how are you, Julia?
I'm doing great. When you were saying it's your favorite, I thought you were going to say your favorite firm.
Of course, yes, my favorite firm.
One of your favorite clients.
Yeah, we're definitely putting you up there on the list. You're high up there.
But Austin is great. It's a great place to be.
It's changed a lot though, right? I haven't been
Oh
in
my
a
gosh,
while,
has
so
it?
I don't know if it's still. I got to come back lately and see if it's still my favorite.
100%. It is growing and growing. Yeah.
I liked it when it was weird,
It's still
right?
weird.
Like the whole keep Austin weird.
They still we still keep it weird
All right,
enough.
good. I like that. It's part of the charm.
Yep.
Well, I'm particularly excited because we were sitting, Sarah and I both actually, with you and Ellen Bensky, who's been on the podcast, and a bunch of other women from the AEC industries. And we were at our champions conference and
Yep.
we were kind of brainstorming, like, what could this look like? And here we are. And
And
you're
here we are.
one of our, inaugural guests. We're, like we were saying, I think we're in double digits episodes, which is exciting. So it's really fun that, we got to bring it to life and you were part of, brainstorming what this could look like. So that's been really awesome.
I would like to kick things off with a fun icebreaker. And I've personally been diving into themed icebreakers recently. So bear with us, Julia. But today we're going to play a game of this or that, AEC edition. So I'll read out multiple choices, pens or pencils, and all you do is indicate your preference, pens or pencils. You put the option, it's rapid fire. So we'll start off. There's just a couple here. Early morning productivity or late night focus?
Both.
Ooh.
Okay. Paper blueprints or CAD renderings?
CAD renderings.
Leading from the field or the boardroom?
Boardroom.
Sustainable materials or cost efficiency?
Oh,
Or both?
man. That might get me in trouble with my clients. I don't know. I think it would depend on the project. Hopefully you can do
on
both.
time
The ideal is
delivery.
to do both.
The
Yes.
ideal is to do both, yes.
Yes.
Well, and this one, next question's just the next two are just like that. On time delivery or perfect execution?
Better execution is more important than on time.
Quality
Yes,
every time.
every time.
Mentoring future leaders or closing major deals?
Oh, that's mean, Sarah. That's mean.
It wasn't me. It
Can
wasn't me.
I mentor future
You can
leaders
do
in
both.
how to close major deals?
Oh, look at that. Well played.
Yes,
Love
we
I
it.
love
like
it.
to have my cake and eat it too. So I like all the things.
Yeah.
That's what makes you a good leader.
I don't like to choose. I like to have it all.
Did you see how decisive she was too, by the way? That's like
Yes.
signs of a CEO, right? It's just like, boom, no thinking, quick decisions, thoughtful decisions, but that's fun. And the early morning product, it's like so funny because I would have to answer early morning now, but I hate it because the kids wake up early. So but I'm definitely, my brain like lights up at night, but then I'm like, I need to sleep.
I
So
am, for whatever reason, I have like I'm an early morning person now, but then I'll also like suddenly at like 9 o'clock at night, I'll just get a bug and start working.
yes.
Sometimes, not always, but I have an afternoon lull now that I don't think I used
Yeah.
to have as much, which
Yeah.
is harsh when we're recording this, but that's fine.
Yes. Yes, for our listeners, we decided Friday at 4 PM Eastern would be at least it's 3 for you, Julia, right?
Yes, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, it'll be more fun. So and I mean, I already shared a little bit of your bio, but that's like the, on paper bio. So we would just love to hear and, share with all of our listeners just like anything about yourself, it could be personal and professional highlights, but just a little bit about how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, sure. So I think, when you look at the bio or like listen to what you said, I hope it's pretty clear that I'm a big advocate for the profession of engineering. Right, like being a PE has really, Sarah and I were actually talking about this yesterday, has become part of my identity. Really,
Mhm.
being the national president, you don't take that on if you don't really care about your profession, right? And the mission
Yes.
that organization has to foster professional engineers in service to society. But the thing that you wouldn't know by looking at my bio is that the one thing I knew I wasn't gonna do when I grew up was become an engineer. It's like for whatever reason, like well, I know why, but for whatever reason, my one little rebellious streak was, no, I'm not going to be an engineer because everyone said I should be. So I'm like, nope, I'm not going to do that. Definitely always knew I wanted to own a business. I ended up going into architecture. That was my original degree, and I thought that was going to be my path. And then when I graduated in 1990, and in the middle of a recession, no architects were hiring in Austin. I'd moved to Austin, and I got to the M's of engineers in the Yellow Pages. Literally called every single architect in the Yellow Pages when the Yellow Pages existed, and got to the M's of engineers before I was offered a full-time position as a CAD drafter. I knew a little CAD. It was very early, 1990. Not a lot of people did. And so I got a drafting position at the firm I currently own. So
Oh, wow.
I've been here my entire career. I worked my way up. I actually, well, I guess it's not gonna be a secret if I say it on the podcast. I actually cried that night 'cause I'm like, "I don't wanna work for an engineering firm." And now I own the place. So, like, things
Wow.
can change in your career. You think you know what you want, you don't always. It looks very linear if you look at my resume, but it really wasn't. So I, worked here for a couple of years. I knew I wanted to go back and get my master's, assumed it would be in architecture, but by the time I worked here a couple of years, I realized, no, engineering is actually the space that I operate the best in. So I went back and got my, architectural engineering degree so I could kinda combine the 2, and then just kept at it. So after some time, I became a project manager, then pretty quickly became a shareholder and principal, and then eventually, bought into the role of principal, and then became president and CEO when our founder retired. And now I'm a majority owner with multiple other shareholders, and I just love it. I love working at MWM. I like our approach. I like that we're focused on the public sector. I think that brings, not just myself, but the people that work here, a lot of joy and passion, right? Knowing that They're creating public spaces that are going to last for generations, right? When you do public work, you're looking at 50, 100-year, timelines. So that, and just the fact that we have a multidisciplinary team that kind of, pulls from that background that I have is also just a real joy for me. So
Is
that's a little
there a
bit.
particular project that you are proud of? Like, I'm sure you guys you're proud of all the projects, but like one in particular that want to
Oh,
highlight?
there are so many. So for me personally, I'm proud. I don't know if this is a proud one or not. There is a long-standing project for me that I started on before. Oh my gosh, I've been working on this project since, like, I don't, it feels like the beginning of time. Se Like, seriously, I was pregnant. My kids are now 21 and 23. I was pregnant with my first son during a during part of this project. It was a roadway project, and I remember talking because we were having all these delays and issues, and I'm like, "Well, as long as we can get it done, haha, before my baby learns to drive." I'm like, "Of course, the road's still not done. I just want you." I literally, I think last year came back and said, "Okay, we're pulling the project back together. We're gonna get this done." And I told the team, I'm like, "I know I don't really work on projects now because my, role is more running the company, but I have to do something on this project because I have to see it through to the end." So I just, you just in public sector work, you just never know. Like, some things go super quick and then other things can last a decade. So
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope next time we talk to you, maybe at Champions, you'll be like,
we
"It's
shall see.
done."
We shall see. Well, not by this
Yeah,
champions,
wait,
maybe
that's
a
a little
couple
aggressive.
champions from now.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That is a long project for sure.
Long project, longest one I've had.
Wow.
So, you kind of talked about like initially, this was not necessarily how, you saw your career going. Um, can you share a moment once you got that first job where you really felt your leadership skills were tested in growing in this?
Oh, man, so many times. You as if they're not tested like yesterday. So many times. I think it is really interesting though, like when you look back on your career progression and you kind of, I think one of the interesting things that I've realized over time is that the skills that you have at any given stage of your career that get you promoted to that next level aren't always the skills you need for that next level, right? And for some
Yes.
reason, I don't know why in our profession in particular, maybe it's like this in other industries, I don't think we're as good generally in teaching those next skills, right? So you, especially on the engineering side, right? You go in, well, I guess the same for all the design disciplines. You get into that profession because you love the design, right? And you become this really great designer and you're knocking it out of the park as an engineer. I'll just use engineering as the path. And then you get promoted to a project manager, but no one's taught you how to manage a project. But because you're such a good technical engineer, the assumption is you're going to be a great project manager. Well, not necessarily, right? There's a different skill set. And then let's say you figure
Yes.
that out and you do really well there, then you get promoted to be a manager. You don't know how to manage people. No one's taught you how to manage people. And so you figure that out. So every step just felt like that. Oh, shoot. I didn't know I needed to know that. And then just like trying to like, kind of catch up once you're there. But it is really interesting. I think when you look back and okay, maybe I could have developed some of those skills ahead. I try to help people think through that a little bit now, in our own firm, but it's and we do a lot more support. And I think generally there's more in the industry now than there was back then. But generally, I think that's for me that's kind of always been a little test of your leadership skill at every level, where there's a different level of expectation, different things that you need to know and understand. Um,
I think
and I
that
guess,
skill set and it's
yeah,
also like what brings you joy at work. And like, cause a lot of, like you mentioned, I can picture that engineer, that architect, like the joy of building and creating. And then, I mean, if you've managed a team of people before, it's like, it's not all that. There's a lot of,
sometimes,
it's a
yeah,
different, and like you said, it's a completely different skill set. So
yeah.
I would say, I mean, we're on the software side and growing up through various companies, like, I had a really great CEO who did focus on, like, we had an amazing salesperson, and it was like, oh, well, we should promote that person to. And by the time he spoke to her, she's like, I don't want to do that. I like closing
Yep.
deals. Like, that's my favorite
Yep.
part. And you're going to make me do a job where I'm not really closing any deals. I'm just like doing the paperwork. And so it's just interesting. I don't think people think enough. Like you said, just because you're good at the job itself, it's
Yeah.
different skills. And sometimes people don't even enjoy it. If you don't have that conversation beforehand,
Yeah.
both of you can end up disappointed, the
Well,
company
and there
and the
can
person.
be, there can be a technical track. I mean, there's a technical
Yeah.
track, there's a management track, and there's different ways to progress, in your career. And I think, thinking through some of that, I wouldn't necessarily suggest just because you think you don't like one aspect of something not to go for it. I mean, I don't
To
love
try
all
it.
aspects of it, right? And I just certainly
Yes.
didn't initially. And a lot of that I had to learn, right? Through
Yes.
mentors, through coaches. I hired a coach early on to like help build some of those skills that I just frankly didn't have, right?
Yep.
Um, and I would supplement with other staff that did have skills that, so you kind of can fill in the gaps. And then at some point, sometimes you actually learn to love the thing that maybe the reason you didn't love it at first is because you weren't good at it.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what
a
I mean? And
great
then once
point.
you get like some skills and you can actually find that you really enjoy it.
I really like that your initial reaction was, well, like my leadership wasn't tested yesterday. And specifically yesterday for you and I, when we kind of had our mini prep session, we talked about confidence and that it being common to assume that all leaders at C-suite level have an abundance of confidence. And I think it occurred to me with what your response was initially for that last question, just because you're in a C-suite level of leadership does not mean you are fully vetted to not be tested anymore, that you've come to this acclamation of leadership, that there's no more growth in
Oh,
leadership.
well, let's hope
Mm.
not. Oh my god, how boring would that be? I
So
plan on
can
being
you
in the industry for quite a lot longer, so I hope I'm always growing. I'm a big believer in continuous improvement, so for me, like, every day, every week, like, if you're not improving, like, where's the joy in that, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely. I think there's this immediate, like, Steve Jobs on stage walks out, and there's this assumption that he's at that level and XYZ. The man probably doesn't need to grow in certain areas like confidence or leadership. But I think that's maybe a misnomer, the big misnomer. And so for young people coming into the industry, just having gotten their PE and joining a firm, I think that you being open and, yeah, my leadership still tested,
oh,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, learn stuff all the time. Yeah, it's one of the reasons I think, like, it's helpful to surround yourself by other people in the industry, not just within your firm. You can learn a lot from people within your firm, but you can also learn what you do and don't like outside of your firm, right? By watching how others interact. So I think that's really helpful. I think one of the things that you and I talked about yesterday in terms of like the confidence, and I think I may have, you were talking about confidence. I'm like, yeah, it's overrated. You're like, what do you mean? It's like, well, I just don't think that, like whether you do or don't have confidence, the real thing is pushing through the fear. Everyone's going to have some insecurity about something, a fear of failure on something. I think, especially in our field, I mean, we are building things. We are entrusted with public health, safety, and welfare, right? Like, we are risk averse and we need to be risk averse to a degree, right? So when you are going out and doing public speaking, or you have to sit down and have a difficult conversation with a client or a peer or a direct report, like there's fear there, like there's risk there. You're putting yourself out there. You could fail. The conversation could go sideways. All sorts of things could happen, and you just have to push through that and do it anyway, right? But I think we attract I believe we attract a certain amount of risk averse population by design. And that's really important, right? Because we don't want bridges falling down. And like we want people that are going to be careful and risk averse in that respect. But then you have to push it to get that to, kind of hone in those leadership skills.
That is, honestly, that's why I love doing this podcast, because we get time to like think and just kind of, hear new things. It just occurred to me that must be a weird thing for you though, as like, because you hear, you're going to be a CEO, you're going to be in a leadership role. You have to take a certain amount of risk, but then you're in an industry where you're like, whoa, that's a very, eh, how does that all work? Like the balance there, that's tricky. And I think I should be in your industry, by the way. I am so risk averse sometimes. I think I
I'm
would be
no risk
real
averse.
I would do so well, like, over there just being like, "Let's make
Yeah, well,
sure,"
part of it is also surrounding yourself by people who are different, right? So one of
Yes.
the things that I did that was super helpful for me, like our board right now, consists of different people from different backgrounds, right? So we have a landscape architect, I'm an engineer, we have another engineer, and we have someone who's come up through our operations side, our marketing side. And she is the least risk averse among us, right? So
Yeah.
she tests the boundaries all the time in our meetings, right? We'll be like, well, maybe we should do this. She's like, what about this weird thing? We're like, oh, maybe, it just takes us a second. And we're like, oh, actually, yeah, let's do that's amazing. But maybe just one notch down.
Yes. We're not gonna
Just
go that far.
one down. But like if you can surround yourself by with some different philosophies and different outlooks, then that can help, break you out of that a little bit. But I think generally, yeah, we tend to be fairly risk averse.
No, and I love that because I know within my company, the people that don't think like me, and a lot of times I'll go seek them out. Like, "Hey, listen,
Yes.
I know my brain works this way. I need to talk to you because I want you to tell me what I might not." And it's so fun, because we do a lot of the personality assessments. We've done like Working
Yep.
Genius. So then it
Yep.
really does help you pinpoint, like, oh, I don't have any of this particular,
Yeah.
area. I gotta go find somebody that has this to make sure I'm getting like a full picture. And it's so useful because yeah, if we only talk to people like us, like that'd be pretty boring too. And I feel like I wouldn't learn and grow, in
Yeah.
those situations. So
Well,
that's a
it's
great
one
point.
of the reasons that, like, at different points in my career, I don't remember when I picked up on this, but at some point I realized I love networking within our space, and I mean, obviously, I've grown up through the leadership of the National Society of Professional Engineers, and that's been super helpful for me from a leadership standpoint. But also joining groups that had nothing to do with our industry.
Mm.
Really amazing because then you get different industry perspective as well, right? So, like, we have certain ways of managing projects, of doing our financials, of all the things, right? All the things in running a company. And since that's a very high interest to me, um, well, which I guess is good since I run a company, but always
That
has been
is
like back in the day, even like when I was first in school and graduating, all the operations piece was very fascinating to me. And so learning how other industries do things, how other leaders approach things in different industries, I think is also really helpful. So having at least, one, whether that's a volunteer thing or a real group or whatever, having some other engagement outside of the industry at a business level, I think is actually very helpful.
that is great advice. And speaking of volunteering, because you just brought that up too, and speaking of the Society of Professional Engineers, like, in terms of like, maybe just tell us, especially if we have people listening that might not know what organization is, maybe they might wanna join up, but why do a little bit about it, and then why do you find it valuable for yourself and for others that are in your field?
Well, I mean, The for me, I can speak what it's meant for me. When I first started, I mean, obviously, I already told you, the one thing I wasn't gonna be was an engineer, right? So then I go into the engineering profession, and once I realized, like, from a technical standpoint, that's really where I thrived and belonged, that was great, but it was still a job, right? It was a job that I went to, it was a job I liked, I enjoyed it, I'm a hard, dedicated worker, I did my stuff, but it was a job. And then when I realized, I wanted to advance, so I'm looking, ahead above me, like, okay, what are those people doing? Like, oh, they do marketing stuff. Oh, that means I have to talk to people. Okay. How am I going to do that? I don't like doing that. All right. I'll join an engineering group because at least maybe they'll be nice to me and I can learn how to, do this networking thing within engineering. So that's why I joined initially. It was just purely selfish motive to just figure out how to get out there and meet people. And then I would do business development side of things, right? But once I joined and I started interacting with other professional engineers, um, I quickly started to kind of take that job. It had already become a career by then, right? I'm already on the PE track. I got my license, but it really the professionalism of it, right? What it meant to be a professional engineer became very important to me. That ethical aspect, the protecting public health, safety, and welfare. It became my profession, and then over time with that group, it became my identity. I think I said something to that earlier, and I really mean, like, I identify as a professional engineer, and I think that is true for many people. I hope it is for many people that are in the design professions, architects, landscape architects, surveyors. You really take that on as a cause almost, right? It's like you would many of us would do it even if we weren't getting paid, and many do. They retire and they still do stuff in the field. But I think you really gain that understanding by being surrounded by people who are in that field that are doing those things, that are doing it at that higher level of
Yeah.
commitment, right? I mean, you don't join a professional society if you don't have a commitment to your profession. So you just are immediately surrounded by your people, and it just genders that gives you that passion for what you're doing. So I highly encourage everybody to join whatever professional society works for their field, right? I mean, the marketers have SMPS. You've
Yeah.
got pretty much everyone has an association out there somewhere for them,
Yes.
right? Yeah. And I
Yes.
just think it's really important to do.
So all about finding your people. I love that.
Finding your people.
Find your
And
people.
for me now, it's also about giving back to your profession, right? So the profession has done a lot for me. It's been my career. It's given me a lot. And I want to maintain that, right? I want to maintain that professionalism. I want to be sure that when someone's a licensed professional engineer, it means X, right? And there's a high bar. And that's really important. And so joining a society that's going to advocate for the individual licensed professional engineer and what it means to maintain those ethical standards, I just think it's important for our profession.
That is great, and it's a great recommendation because I've gotten a lot out of, various groups along the way. It definitely well, and it's funny that you can I ask, do you identify as introverted or extroverted?
Oh, introverted 100%.
So am I. Nobody believes me because I like to do this kinda stuff, and I talk to people. I'm, like, different. I know you, like, it's different than walking into a room of 1,000 people and having to make small talk, which is, like, my
Yes.
my hell when I have to go
Yeah, a little
somewhere.
bit. I mean, it's
Yeah.
actually part of my job, but
I
yeah.
know. Yes, and it's like you fake it enough but you expend all of that energy, and then the recovery from that is
You
hard,
just gotta
but
recover. You just
I
have to
always
make
liked because I sensed you were an introvert, and I'm like, just connect these dots, people. Introverts make fantastic CEOs. It doesn't have to be the loudest person always. And I think you're seeing, I think, 50 years ago, that probably wasn't as prevalent. Like now it's like people really value, like, yeah, and both are great, right? I'm married to an extreme extrovert. Thank God one of us is slightly, more subdued, but it's like
Oh, my husband's even more introverted. It's funny.
so you both
So I actually do look extroverted in our relationship, but
that's great. That is
I
great.
I would say though that yes, I 100% it takes all different kinds, right?
Yeah.
Introverts, extroverts, the mix, right? You can
Yeah.
be different things in different settings even, right? I would
Yes.
say though, for those introverts out there, um, again, I think it goes back to that forget the confidence piece, that pushing through the fear, pushing through the maybe I can't do it, and raise your hand. Because
Mhm.
yes, introverts can make really great CEOs, but they're never gonna get there if they don't take on the task, they don't take on that project, they don't volunteer for the opportunity. You
Yes.
It's very rare to be able to kinda sit back and have someone just discover you,
Yes,
right? Like,
exactly. Yes. That's a
people,
great point.
they're just really busy. It's like a
Yes.
project comes up, you raise your hand and do it, and that's I mean, for me, that's how I've always gotten ahead as quickly as I have. because I just I did the things. If something
Yeah.
needed to be done, I would step in and do it. Um,
Yeah, that
that's
is
that's how you
very
get
solid
recognized.
advice. Do it anyway, like you said, like you just yeah, 'cause it's like I might not but then I end up going in and I meet someone great and I might have been dreading it or like, "Oh, this is" but then I meet someone awesome. We have great and then we build a relationship and so there's always like when you do the thing, it's
There's a
never
way to
as
do it, or
scary.
go with somebody so you have, like, a place to retreat to, like, what there's
Yes.
ways to set yourself up to do the things that,
Yes.
um
Sarah knows I'll be like, "Sarah, I'm going to come with you," and do because she's better than I am at the networking, so,
Yeah.
yes. Find your people,
I'm
right?
very much an extroverted introvert. I appear extroverted and I can do it for a finite amount of time, but then I will retreat. I come from 2 engineering parents and, I can hang, but then we kind of reclude together. Let's play a board game. Let's,
Yes,
everybody
Yeah.
chill,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
yes. It's funny.
Well, and
It's
for folks that have a hard time, I think, like, for me, joining an engineering group, like, that was great because it was, like-minded people. But even there, right, sometimes you can walk into a room and it can feel cliquey, people already know each other. Join a committee.
yeah.
If you're like a workhorse kind of person, join a committee. It's an easy way to get to know people in an environment that's more comfortable to you because you're working on something, right? You have a
Yes.
reason to get together. You have a goal that you're all working towards, and then you'll know people, and then it won't be so
Yes.
scary every time you go into the room elsewhere. So that's yet another
We're
reason.
getting a lot of, like, very practical, applicable things in this episode, and I like because I think people, it's
join a
like they
society.
yeah.
If you cannot join a professional society, join a committee. If you cannot join a professional committee, join a user group. I mean,
Oh,
there's lots of
Yes, we were
avenues.
talking about the user groups.
Look
Yeah,
at you just
yeah. Our
weaving that
user
in,
groups your
Sarah.
user groups are great. So our because I belong to one, so our user groups are great.
Yes,
It's
yes.
pretty good. You should try it out, audience, if you
Try it
haven't.
out, audience.
Well, we will add in the show notes a link to the Society of Professional Engineers, so those who are interested can check it out. And sort of to wrap up, you've given us so much in this interview. I know it's got to be hard to kind of narrow that down, but we always ask as our last question, what one line of advice would you leave us with?
So the one line of advice would be to invest in yourself, right? And then we've talked about some ways to do that here. One obviously is to join your professional society, um, and just kind of lean into that. But I'd say also find a mentor or hire a coach. It's it will feel expensive at the time, but when you look back, it will be such a good investment in yourself. If you can get your firm to pitch in, great, but if not, do a quarterly meeting, whatever it takes. Find a mentor or coach. They will be able to see those blind spots that you can't, and that will, kinda help you kinda double down, right, on that continuous improvement that we were kinda talking about before to maximize your strengths. So, say invest in yourself.
Love
Don't wait for
that.
someone else to do it. And raise your
Great
hand.
advice.
Volunteer for things.
Yes.
Take on
Raise
the
your hand.
task. Yeah.
I
If you
love
want to
that.
advance. If you're happy where you are, then that's great. Just heads down, keep doing what you're doing, and that's fantastic. But if you want to advance, take on those tasks and find something to latch onto.
That is fantastic advice so many times throughout this conversation. And thank you. It's just I always think of how busy I feel, and I'm like, we're asking CEOs to take time out of their schedule to sit down with us, and I'm sure your plate is full. So thank you. We really appreciate it. I think our audience will get a lot out of this conversation and all of your advice. So thank you.
Oh, it's
And
fun to talk to you
to
guys.
yes.
Yeah.
And are we
This is
seeing
great
you
to have
in
you.
San Diego? Are you going to be at Champions this year?
Unfortunately, no, but I'm sending 2 people
Oh, good. Well,
Yay.
we'll be sad that we don't
because
see
I
you.
have an NSPE commitment. So
It
I was
happens. It's a busy time of I'm like April's always busy, but
uh,
we will meet your people as well and make
thanks.
sure we say hello to them. So, yeah, with that, to all of our groundbreakers out there, thank you for listening to Breaking Ground. And if today's episode resonates with you, be sure to follow, leave a review, or share it with someone in your network. And if you have a story to share yourself, please send us an email. Our contact information is in the podcast bio. We are always looking for additional people that have stories to share. So until next time, keep breaking new ground.